Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechWith Solutions, and a pretty interesting video for you guys today. Make sure that you guys stay tuned to the very end of the video. There's this project that I think I would like to start, and it's going to be with your guys' assistance and approval, of course. But again, we're going to talk that towards the end of the video. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is there is no question. If you guys look at the 180-day chart for /NQ, for /ES, or for anything of the major markets, you guys can see that this is the overall NASDAQ ETF, right? So you can see the overall index had a huge pullback today. If we go on over and move on over to what's it called, /ES as well, you're going to see that it had a very, very aggressive pullback. And no question about it, the main reason that we saw a huge drop, it says the Dow Jones ends up losing more than 1,000 points, putting it at one of the biggest drops, if not the biggest drop in the past 2 years. So it doesn't mean that the market's crashing. It's I was going to use that as like the thumbnail, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be talking about that. So I wouldn't necessarily call this a market crash, but I think something that is super important, this is exactly what I want to share with you guys in this video, is I'm going to share 3 to 4 stocks that I would like, at least 3 or 4 stocks and the idea behind them that I would like to share with you, and how you can actually still make money when the stock market is pulling back. One of the first things that I want to share with you and want to remind you is that when the market is pulling back, there has to be a reason behind it. And every single time that the market pulls back, normally there is a different reason, right? In this case, front and center, the main reason that we experienced such an aggressive sell-off in the stock market today is due to the coronavirus and the cases that are overall increasing. But one of the things that I think not enough people are talking about, and you guys please do your own research when it comes down to this, is understanding why the market pulled back. Did the market pull back just because more cases came about of the coronavirus? That's not necessarily what I think is happening. When it comes down to reading the article, and this is under the news section that you guys all have access to be able to read, is one of the things that I'm seeing is that due to the uncertainty of how quickly we can recover from the coronavirus, the center hub of where this all started and where there's the most cases is China. China is the hub of manufacturing, right? No question that just almost the entire world is affected by less people going to work due to the infectious disease of the coronavirus. So again, one of the things that I want to remind you is that it's based off of what I'm reading as of right now, it's not so much about the coronavirus itself, but it's what it's causing China to do, right? Shutting down, trying to contain the virus, and how that's affecting our overall global economy, because again, just people are losing and missing out on money because less people are going to work. If you have overall stores or fulfillment stores that have suppliers overseas, especially in China, there's most likely less people at work and getting your overall work done when it comes down to that. So I think that is where a majority of this pullback is. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you is, now that we understand a little bit more about why it pulled back, again, I still want to remind you that before you invest, before you sell your position, before you even begin to trade anything, right? Please dedicate time to inform yourself a little bit more about what is going on, the longevity of this potential pullback, and to see if it's something that, just not necessarily, I don't want to call it just an aggressive sell-off or panic selling, but this tends to happen pretty often. I know that we did experience this during the swine flu period, where we thought that there was a huge outbreak, and the overall reaction was a little bit more than I think people anticipated. So please, before you buy, before you sell anything, dedicate time to stay cool, calm, and collected, and just make sure that you don't put yourself in a hopeful position trying to buy the dip and hoping that it begins to recover, or selling your position and thinking that it's just going to continue to sell off. There's nothing wrong with giving something a little bit more time and waiting for confirmation for the direction to be a little bit more clear, and all you have to do is dedicate a little bit more time to do your own research, especially on the fundamental side. So I want to share 3 to 4 ideas with you guys today. So this video is called how you can make money when the stock market is pulling back. So one of the first things and one of the first variables that I want to understand is, why is it selling off? Now that we understand that kind of the center focus of this pullback is the coronavirus, the first thing that you are going to see is that there's a series of pharmaceutical companies or research companies that tend to do very well that might be researching a potential what do I want to call it? I have it pulled up. This is just an example. This is just an idea. I'm not even personally invested or trading this specific stock. Please, this is just an example. It's the idea behind what it means. This stock is dedicating time, and the whole focus of the company as of right now is to create a vaccine for the potential virus, right? Or something to fight against it, as there's nothing as of right now that can help contain the virus. So therefore, it makes sense on why this stock is going up as an outbreak breaks out, right? So that's just the idea. It's not the actual company itself, but it's the idea that because the coronavirus is, again, so uncontrolled, you can see companies that are, again, trying to fight against it. Overall price increase just due to there being more demand and more awareness of what this company is doing. That's all I'm saying, right? This is not something that I would go in for a long-term investment, but at least because we understand that the center focus is due to the coronavirus, there's a list, a large list of companies and a large list of stocks that are trying to fight against the coronavirus that have seen huge growth. So all that means is that dedicate time, find which stock or which company you find to be the most suitable and the one that is best for you. And again, this is just an example. It's not a stock suggestion by any means. One of the other things that I also do want to remind you is that when the market pulls back, there's a series of ETFs that are inverse ETFs that do the exact opposite. So as we saw, /NQ, right? So /NQ saw a huge pullback. A lot of you guys might know that when /NQ pulls back, what goes up? It's ticker symbol SQQQ, right? So this is the inverse ETF of the overall market. So you guys could see that it had a huge day today. It's 11.62%. So as the market sells off, this does the exact opposite. The bull ETF, the one that does exactly what the market does, that is ticker symbol TQQQ. And there's, again, a series of them. So all I'm trying to share with you is an idea. Again, this is not a stock suggestion. You guys can dedicate time. There's one that follows the S&P 500. There's one that follows the Dow Jones. And there's one that are even more leveraged than these. The example is that as the market is pushing up or selling off, there's a series of ETFs and there's a series of indexes that either follow it or do the exact opposite. So it doesn't mean that you have to freak out or ask the question, how am I going to make money? It's by understanding the situation, how you can then understand which stocks and which ETFs and which indexes will indicate signs of an uptrend. I think the more you educate yourself, the better off you can be. Another one that I want to share is when our overall market pulls back, especially like we experienced today. So again, by the overall stock market pulling back, as we can see here, gold hit an all-time high. So /GC, I believe I have it here. Oh, actually, it might not. So /GC. So this is just a gold future. So you guys could pay attention and see this, that it had a huge push up to overall highs of 1691. And the really cool thing about this is that they have correlating ETFs and inverse ETFs, which means that a lot of this activity happened during the pre-market session. So if you can't trade in that, then I guess this wouldn't be much help. But I think it's the idea that could be very useful for you. It's by understanding that when there's uncertainty within our economy, gold, which used to be viewed as the backing, which is, again, something that's been very popular and very well known, do a little bit more research about it and how the overall market, when it does begin to pull back, gold normally begins to increase in value. And I think that's called the gold standard, something like that, right? So overall, we saw a huge push up. That means that then JNUG, again, most likely followed. So it hit highs of overall 107.70, but then as the market began to almost correct itself, it pulled back to pretty much where it closed that on Friday. But again, the really cool thing about this is that being able to see this activity and how overall market conditions can then have an influence on gold. I think even just the idea of me sharing with you that when the market does pull back, and if it's this great, right, it's not a direct correlation, but by understanding the correlation between gold and the overall market, it could be very useful for you. So again, if you don't like inverse ETFs that you want to trade against /NQ and /ES, then what you can do is learn a little bit more about gold and the gold standard, and how when the market does sell off, gold can be something that you can dedicate a little bit more time to educate yourself on, as it tends to go up when the market sells off. So we talked about the ETFs. We talked about the gold. We talked about understanding the main focus in this case was for the coronavirus. So there's a series of pharmaceutical companies that are dedicating time to research. Now, what I do want to talk about is everyone is now asking what stocks overall, not ETFs and not just regular stocks, but overall just regular stocks, would it make sense to begin to pay attention to? One that was actually really affected by this overall news was, as you can imagine, it's American Airlines. Overall, it makes sense that less people are going to be wanting to travel, especially during a huge outbreak. And you guys could see that on this 180-day analysis, AAL, which is American Airlines, saw a huge pullback to $25, which is pretty much a 180-day low. All I'm here to share with you is that there's so many stocks that experienced a huge pullback today. There's so many ETFs that went down in price today. There's so many overall pharmaceutical companies that saw an increase in value today. What I'm here to remind you, and again, just take it as a grain of salt, is that there is no perfect time to buy and there is no perfect time to sell. Don't become a panic seller and don't become someone that's buying the dip like everyone loves to say. One of the things that I have at least found for myself that makes it so much easier for me to understand when's a good time to buy and when's a good time to sell is when direction is clear. Right now, due to the uncertainty, due to there being a lot of hype and I think a lot of panic selling, it's just we're all over the place, right? So all I'm here to remind you is instead of you trying to force an entry or force a sell, dedicate time to maybe just gather a list of stocks, indexes, ETFs that you want to watch and follow up with. Even if you don't take a position, right, with any of these stocks, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But as long as you dedicate time to inform yourself a little bit more about what goes up, what goes down, and what's a good deal right now, maybe when the opportunity does present itself and the direction is a little bit more clear. For an example, if American Airlines begins to indicate signs of a reversal, if we see that, hey, it was a panic sell and now it's beginning to actually recover, again, have patience, and patience is definitely key in the stock market. So all I wanted to share with you today is maybe to start creating a list, a watch list of stocks that right now might be oversold or that you might want to follow up with, that look like good deals, but we are still uncertain of its overall direction. I did want to do an overall recap with you guys today. I did $590 profit. I took a position on DWT kind of late throughout the day. I literally made nothing. I made $8.37 on that trade. And then if you guys follow me on Instagram, I took a position on UGAS and DGAS. All my positions closed just like we do every single day. And $590. My daily goal is $500. I trade with $30,000. So that's about 1.6%. Again, a goal is something to work towards, not something that you necessarily have to hit every single day. What I wanted to share with you, and again, please just understand this, is that when it comes down to being a day trader, I don't have, in a sense, the same principles or the same best practices as an investor. But what I do want to remind you is that when there's uncertainty and when there's a very unclear direction of where the market is going, having a very aggressive approach, especially when you're just learning how to trade, might not be in your best interest, right? If you're actually thinking of day trading in the stock market and you want to do this for a potential profession or career, please do not put yourself in any unfortunate position and a hopeful position thinking that you're buying the dip and that you're going to make a killing. Dedicate time to be empowered to learn so you can either win or you'll learn something new, right? There's no reason to force a trade or, again, to put yourself in an unfortunate situation which you're just set up for failure. Very simple. One of the ideas that I do want to share with you guys is, as you guys could see with the thumbnail, we had these little masks that we bought a while back. And one of the things that Justin did, ordered these little masks as the coronavirus became a little bit more popular, right? And as you guys could see, there being a little bit more of like an uncertainty, I just thought we can make, these are a little bit more on the better looking side. We were thinking of designing a mask very similar to this and putting a little kind of note. And we're thinking of taking the proceeds of that mask and actually donating it to actual research for those that are trying to find a vaccine or a potential solution to contain the coronavirus, or for maybe some relief funds in China, which is the country that is most heavily affected by this virus. So again, it's just an idea. We don't have to do it, but we have a pretty nice design that we're thinking that even if we, sell these little masks for about $3, we can, at least protect ourselves. And then on top of that, with the idea and the support of obviously the channel, we can then donate the profits directly to any foundation that is either fighting against the overall virus or actually helping to try to create for overall product research a potential vaccine. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think. One of the last things that I wanted to ask you guys to do is I covered 4 specific type of stocks or ETFs in this video that either go up because of the coronavirus, that are affected, an ETF that's affected by the overall market. I talked about a gold ETF, and then I talked about a series of stocks that are oversold. So if you have any stocks that you would like to share for other people to maybe pay attention to, just feel free to share that down in the comment section. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts or any ideas about the mask. Again, we just thought it'd be a fun and creative way on how we can have a positive impact for a very unfortunate situation. So I hope that I earned your thumbs up in this video. Again, if you guys want to stay connected, you guys can join our free investing group, or the largest group on Facebook in the world for those that day trade in the stock market. And that's going to be that first link down below. I really do appreciate you guys' time. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.